welcome to the show. Today we are talking about spirit guides, and this is the top 10 tips for talking and communicating and connecting with those in spirit. You know, you can use the top 10 tips that I'm going to provide today as a guidance for actually talking with your loved ones as well. Yes, this is Mediumship 101. Kind of, it really is. Because you can use these same principles with spirit guides or with ancestors, deceased loved ones, what have you. Keep in mind that when we're talking mediumship, of course, we can be talking angels, we can be talking spirit guides, and we can be talking deceased loved ones. So, or even animals, right? Yeah, even animals we can talk to. So that's a pretty cool thing. So anything that is ever, or anything or anyone, who has ever been in physical form can still be communicated with. The big thing here is, and this is for all you skeptics out there, is that physics has already proven that the energy of us, of anything, never dies, right? So that tells us that who we are inside, the energy of us, which is that divine connection, never ceases to exist. So what will happen is maybe that energy might get assimilated into the whole, which is the universal energy, but we never lose that identity, never. And that identity, that energy, is what we can communicate with. Now, getting on topic with the spirit guides. Spirit guides are people who have been in human form and who have perfected something that you want to perfect. So in essence, prior to your birth, you kind of hired them. You've hired them to help you accomplish something that as a soul you've deemed necessary for your own growth. Your spirit guides, on the other hand, have already mastered those things. And that's why you've kind of hired them. They keep you on track, sometimes give you nice little nudges, and like myself, sometimes give you big kicks in the butt to get you back on track. Yes. So if you ever feel like spirits punished you for some reason, like, oh my gosh, it's not a punishment. They're actually doing what you hired them to do. I know. What was I thinking? So let's get to the show notes and we'll get started, okay? So the 10 top tips for working with your spirit guides and spirits in general. Again, when I say spirit guides, remember that this can also pertain to animals, loved ones in spirit, ancestors, whatever, all right? So we can always apply that to that. And of course, we're talking about spirit communication here today, whether it's through physical feeling, whether it's through seeing, so clairvoyance, whether it's through hearing, clairaudience. Here's going to be the good one. Whether it's through clairalience or clairolfactance, is the psychic smelling, right? Have you ever smelled the flowers or the cigarette smoke or whatever? Clairgustance, which is tasting, clear tasting. In other words, psychic tasting. Every once in a while, I might taste black licorice, or I might taste popcorn, something like that, right? And when I get those, I always have to stop and question either myself, my own psyche, or the client in front of me. All right, why am I tasting popcorn? Who was the person that was the popcorn fanatic, right? Spirit always comes through in a way that they know that you're going to understand. And if giving you popcorn is one of them, then so be it. Okay? Now, I want you to keep in mind that they might have me smell irises. So maybe there was a flower person, right? Someone who was a florist or a gardener, or someone who just liked lilies or whatever, right? Sometimes they might have me smell black licorice when I know that there's stomach problems. Okay, so try to put the little clues together, right? So today also in this webinar, we're also going, I'm also going to be doing mini readings, little freebies. Most of them will be psychic probably, just because this type of venue really works well with that. But I might have spirit come through. I never know what's going to happen. Yes, I'm always at the mercy. I'm always at the mercy. So here are the first 10 tips, or the top 10 tips that I have found that can help you communicate with your loved ones in spirit. Now, I think the first thing and the most important thing, and that's why I've kind of numbered them, is to understand who you're working with, right? And that's why earlier I mentioned whether you're working with animals, you're working with spirit guides, you're working with loved ones, what have you. It doesn't matter. The same protocol holds true, as I mentioned. But your intent has a big part, or a big role in determining who you're working with, right? So keeping in mind always, and even as a professional medium for almost 30 years, I really can't guarantee, for instance, which one of your loved ones is going to come through for you. Because remember that energy thing, this physics thing that I talked about earlier? Because their energy, the spirit's energy, has to be able to connect with mine. I like to describe it as their energy has to be able to tune into my radio station, right? It's easier to understand that way. So if they link in with me, and if they have a clear radio station, I'll bang on. I'll know who's there. I'll know who they are, their relationship to you, their health, all that kind of stuff. If they cannot tune in really well, like maybe they're a little 0.1 click off, I'll still be able to get them. But the information that comes through may be a little bit choppy, or a little bit sketchy, or maybe not as clear, right? So still very good for spirit communication. And the same will hold true with you, right? The same will hold true with you. So when you begin to work with spirit communication, it's almost like you're opening up that door. You're setting the intent, saying maybe an opening prayer, saying, "Dear Lord, please surround this house with white light. Allow only the highest and the finest of spiritual beings to enter within these walls." That itself, easy peasy, is something that I always do 100% of the time. 100% of the time. Whether I'm working with your spirit guides, angels, loved ones, animals, whatever. Whether I'm doing a reading for a client, or whether I'm simply meditating. And when I get the heebie-jeebies, yeah, every once in a while I get those heebie-jeebies, and I wind up doing that, right? So please surround this house with white light, allowing only the highest and the finest of spiritual beings. Yeah. So keeping aware, I don't want you to say, please leave the negativity out. We know it's there, right? We know the negativity is out. And we're not necessarily protecting ourselves. We're just kind of surrounding ourselves with God's white light. So before you embark upon any journey, spiritual journey, surround yourself with a bubble, with a white light, with maybe a magic shield, or whatever, whatever you can imagine, or whatever feels right, whatever fits for you, do it. Absolutely. One of the reasons that I do this is to make sure that, especially during a private sitting, a private reading, is to make certain that I have for the client the most appropriate person for them to communicate. All right. And granted, they might have multiple spirit there, and indeed often do. However, I'm pretty much assured that the talker is the one who's going to definitely get through, and that talker, that person in spirit, might be the one who actually speaks for the group. Okay, maybe there's other people around you that cannot get through. So keep in mind that just because you want Uncle Henry to come through doesn't mean that 100% of the time Uncle Henry's coming through. First of all, remember, you got to dial into your radio station. And then maybe Uncle Henry just doesn't have a good enough link with you. So Auntie Sue might come through and speak for Uncle Henry. All right. So be open to that. Be open to having whomever is able to get through, because the messages from spirit will get through to you loud and clear. Absolutely. So I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, keeping in mind that I don't necessarily poo-poo or promote using an oracle board or a Ouija board or something of that nature. There's a couple of reasons. One, I kind of say, well, why not? Because honestly, it's cardboard made by Hasbro, right? So how woo-woo can that get? On the other hand, part of me says it's kind of understood or interpreted as a tool to investigate and play with the dark arts. Yeah. And the dark arts are there. They are there. But that's not who we're communicating with, and that's not who our intent is, right? So even with the intent of working with the white arts or with God or with Holy Spirit or whatever, let's not take the chance, okay? Let's just not take the chance. Now, I have to admit, I do have one. Because when the movie Ouija came out, I went and bought one because I was going to teach a white arts or a higher purpose class on using oracle boards, and a Ouija board was part of it. However, the more I thought about it, the more I thought, no, because if someone doesn't understand how to use that board properly, even if they're in class, I don't want to take responsibility for someone getting into something that they might not be equipped to handle, right? So make sure whomever you try to communicate with, whether it's a spirit guide, animal, dog, cat, cow, whatever, a loved one, aunt, uncle, grandma, child, whatever, they are of the highest and brightest energy that could possibly ever be, right? Absolutely. So know who you're dealing with. Next, again, the next tip is say a prayer, which that was kind of like a segue into this. And when you're trying to connect with your spirit guide, I always say a prayer asking for the highest and finest of spiritual beings, because that's all I want to work with, right? That's all I want to work with. And when they make contact, again, we can be using our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth. We could be feeling them, which is clairsentience, right? And they could always come through in a specific manner. Now, for instance, I always have, when I'm in meditation, and this is what I'll do in the Spirit Guides class later on, I always have my spirit people touch me in a specific place. And it's their choosing. For instance, my niece always sends me tingles all the way down my left side. So from here on out, I'll know that she's there, even if I'm not tuned in. I'll know that she's there because all of a sudden my whole left side will tingle like crazy, right? I know Jesus is present because I get a heavy hand on my left shoulder. Whether I'm tuned in or not, when I feel that, when Jesus comes, I know I got to tune in because there's something important coming or something important happening soon, very, very soon. And you guys can do the exact same thing. My mother appears here. I can just sense her energy here. It's almost like I can sense someone's face there. Oh, thank God I don't see it, because honestly, that would freak me out. But I can sense her energy there. So in the class that's upcoming, we can use that sense of ours, because we're mammals. We all have clairsentience. We all have it. We can use those senses to determine from here on out, without even going into a meditative state, who's with us. Isn't that great? I love it. I have Beth on the line. Beth, I'm going to promote you to panelist. Now, your video and audio must be on so that I can see you, or that everybody can see you and everybody can hear you, okay? So I can see that you're coming on. Let me unmute you. Hi, Beth.
Hi, Lisa. You look beautiful.
Oh, thanks. I put my lips on. I did. Yeah, so
Well, it was
so where are you driving?
I'm working. I'm a CNA for hospice and home care, and I'm driving down the road to my next person, but I'm going to pull off.
Good. Thank you very much. I don't want to be responsible for you having a fender bender.
No.
So
anyways, thank you for taking my call.
Oh, are you kidding? I love it. I absolutely love it. So while you're watching the road, ask me, right? Oh, I got your fingers there. So what's your question, honey?
Well, my question is, we are preparing for a move to Sedona. And
Oh, nice.
I know. I want to have you come down and do a thing down there with us. But
would love it.
Anyway, we've got the house on the market. It's been on the market for about a month and a half.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering if we're going to be there this year or not.
What I heard when you were speaking, as I tuned in clairaudiently, was 333. So in other words, I know from experience that this is angel guidance, all right? Angels are guiding you through this move. It could also be in 3, 6, or 9 months, all right? I'm sensing more on the 3 end. So it could be in 3 more months or 3 weeks, but I definitely feel like you're going to see some kind of movement by the end of the year. I'm feeling.
Thank you. I see you sitting there, and I don't think you're having trouble.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness!
Only in Montana.
I love it.
So sweet.
Yeah, so I definitely get the sense that it'll be within the 3 months. So probably by the end of the year, obviously. And also, I'm getting a sense that this could all coincide with the holidays. And I know how stressful that could be. So if I'm hearing this, now, if you would decide to hold off just a little bit, you might say, okay, we're going to close, but I want occupancy until after the holidays. That might be very helpful to you and them ultimately. I'm getting a sense that they want to come in right away, but they can wait just a little bit. Also, what I'm seeing is, I'm seeing that this may be someone who's in the market for business and is kind of maybe renting a place or in an apartment right now or something like that. So it could be that they're being relocated just like you're being relocated, all right? Now, can you tell me, Beth, who is George?
Well, I have an Uncle George and I have a brother George. Uncle George is in spirit.
Okay, so I've got George coming through. It's so funny, you know, because I've got, yeah, you know, it's so funny because I've got, my grandson and I just started learning sign language. Over the summer, I babysat him a couple days a week, and we started learning sign language. And George just gave me this, which is G. This is a G. So I tuned in and tapped into that, and he said, George. Yeah, so your Uncle George is around an awful lot with you. And who's the person that had trouble with walking?
With walking. Oh.
Yeah. He's talking about someone having to be kind of chauffeured around. Like either they didn't drive or they didn't walk well.
I have a lot of people that I've seen in hospice that I took care of like that.
Oh, goodness. Okay. No. This would probably be family. Okay. This would probably be family. because I'm seeing someone, I'm seeing legs.
Uh-huh.
This would be a
Ow.
female. It's a lady that didn't walk well.
Oh,
I'm seeing her on, you know, those little amigo things that they'd ride around in the refrigerator. I almost said refrigerator, the grocery
yeah.
store.
Oh, Wanda.
Yes. Okay.
Maybe
So
Wanda.
George is saying that Wanda's around you a lot also. Okay. The lady that didn't walk well and had to use those little amigos. Yeah. So he's saying she's around you. She touches base, but he's speaking for her, you see, because he can. He's been through before. He's, oh my God, it's so funny. He just said he was the master of disaster. So,
Oh.
yeah, I love him. He's very sweet man. Yes. So
one of 16 kids. He was one of 16.
Oh my God. Bless his mother. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Ah! Could you imagine? No, I couldn't. Oh, good Lord. That would be horrible. I love kids, but not 16 of them. Oh my God. So anyways, yes, I would love to come down to Sedona. I've been there, and it's absolutely lovely. We love Sedona.
Yes, yes. Well, we share the same birthday, only I'm a year or so older than you, too. But I just
No way. How did you know my birthday?
I don't know, but it was a while back. A couple years ago, I had a reading, or I'm not sure how. Or it was your birthday online, and people were wishing you happy birthday.
Aww.
October 28th.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm 55.
Yep. I was born 59. Yeah, exactly. So Beth, thanks so much for calling in or joining in the webinar. It was great talking to you, sweetheart.
Great talking with you as well. Thanks, Lisa.
Take care. Bye-bye. So isn't that fun? Right. I never know who's coming through. Uncle George. Ha ha. Yes, that's so cool. So let me get back to our show notes. Tip number 3 on speaking to your spirit guides are knowing when they're coming through and almost being able to control this. Yes. Because there's an energetic link there. When they're with us, it makes us think of them. Because they get into our auric space, and whenever anything is in our auric space, we can hear it, see it, feel it, taste it, smell it. Okay. Contrary to that, when we think of them, it kind of draws them to us. It's like having a phone call to spirit. So right now, if I think of my mother, I know she's here. Was she here before? Probably, but I wasn't aware of her. But you can do that with your loved ones. You know, it's interesting because when I see someone in spirit who's newly passed, I get a sense of them always being around, and they really are, because probably 95% of our newly deceased loved ones will stick around until after their funeral. So they're there anyways. However, once they cross over, they fall into that realm where we can communicate with them and understand that they're there by the energy that they leach into us. It's kind of a neat way to describe it, because it really is. It kind of permeates us in a way. So we know we can strengthen that by tuning in. And really, most often, you know, because we're, like I said before, we're all mammals. We can all feel their presence. But honing that is a skill, because it's something that you learn. And the only way to learn it is to do it. So when someone comes through, whether it's a spirit guide or loved one, sit still for a moment. Take a deep breath, because the deep breath is telling spirit that, okay, you can come in. It's like an invitation. It's an invitation to spirit to come forward. Let yourself be known more fully to me so that I can intuit who you are. Right? If you cannot understand who it is, it may be a spirit guide. It may be a spirit guide. Because remember, you have never met them in this life physically, right? but you have met them on the other side. So there might be a little glimpse of recognition, but there may not be. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. So you can see them in your mind's eye, possibly close your eyes. Maybe tune in. Sometimes people close their eyes and they can hear better, right? It's kind of like the blind person hearing more clearly. It's the same thing. So by getting rid of one of those senses, it kind of sharpens the rest. So if you close your eyes, that does help. You might even see pictures of who your spirit guide is in your mind's eye, or you might see pictures of a loved one. Now, let me tell you this. Let me clarify this a little bit. Your spirit loved ones, your ancestors, can be spirit guides to you if they passed before you were born and had previously perfected a skill that you're trying to learn on a karmic basis. Now, granted, if, say, your father passed away while you were living, he can still come through and lend you a hand and give you some kind of guidance, but he is not one of your spirit guides. Okay? We come in with 5 main spirit guides, and we'll get into that in the class if you should choose to take that. I'm not certain yet whether that will be an online class. More than likely, probably similar to this webinar very much, that we can do this and you can be anywhere in the world and take a class. Yeah, because you can meditate and do readings with each other through this format. So yeah, so keep an ear out or an eye out for that. I'll be posting that on my Facebook page and on my website as well. So, okay, so tip number 4. Spirit guides, and here's an interesting one. Spirit guides do not come through to you or present themselves with physical disabilities. A loved one, however, will. Right? Doesn't mean that they're still physically disabled, because they're not. But they may come through that way for you to recognize them. Just right? So this happens all the time. I might feel heart attack, or I might actually sense like being a little woozy in the head for Alzheimer's, or whatever. But is it the way they are now? No. No. Spirit guides, however, will not pose or propose or impersonate or act negative. No, those are not your spirit guides. That's either someone else that you're picking up that you did not protect yourself against because you didn't set up your intention and say a protecting prayer. All right, remember, surround myself with white light, that type of thing. All right, so keep in mind, as you're opening up your third eye or your intuition, it's kind of like a great big beam of white light coming out the top of your head. And every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the spirit world is going, oh, look at that. What's that about? Let's go check it out. Right? So you could be getting the neighbors people. You could be getting people like in different countries, honestly. And that's why we set up this boundary. Not necessarily as a protection, but set up a boundary so that the most appropriate people will come through to you. And this is also something that a spirit guide will help you with, whether you know who they are or not. So here's the thing. You have 5 main spirit guides. Your head honcho, so to speak, is called a master teacher. That master teacher can be male or female and have the job of kind of running your show. They enlist other spirit guides and help you to grow on the spiritual path in the manner that you have deemed necessary prior to your birth, right? Because the reason for incarnating is all about spiritual growth, becoming closer to God, right? Some people want to say that they become Christ-like, but if you're not a Christian, what does it matter, right? It's just simply becoming closer to the I am, or God, or the all that is, right? So becoming a better person. I love it. So if you ever, on that note, getting back to that, if you ever should run across any spirit that does make you uncomfortable, tell them to leave. What most people fail to understand is that we're the boss, because this is our body. This is our spiritual temple. We are a child of the divine, right? So we're the boss. Yes, it's our house. And if that does happen, if you get someone that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, then tell them to leave. Don't ask them, tell them. Because it is their job on a kind of like a spiritual knowledge that this needs to happen. Let's go back to the attendees. I have Tammy on the line. I'm promoting to you to panelist, Tammy. So as soon as you get on, I will unmute you. Hi, Tammy.
Hi.
Oh, not you two little troublemakers again. Hi, girl.
I tried. This is Julie.
Hi, Julie. How you doing?
Good. Good.
Good, good. Thanks for coming on. I just love you guys. You're so fun. You're so fun.
Love you. We love you too.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. I can feel your smooches. So tell me, dear, what is your question today?
Well, I don't really have a question, but I think Julie would love to talk with her mom if she came through.
Okay, Julie, what's your mom's first name?
Erta. E-R-T-A. Did she go?
What'd you say?
Erta. We used to call her Oma.
E-R-T-A. Okay, thank you. So everybody, see how I'm doing this? Sometimes, remember when I said if you think about them or if you call them to you, it does help. There's never any guarantee, of course. Never, never, never. Because it really is up to her mom or any spirit guide or loved one, again, to be able to tune into my radio station. So by Julie saying her mom's name, it kind of like calls her to us, all right? And she's not there with Julie. She's there with me, all right? She's here with me. So what will happen, and she could be jumping back and forth. You see, all she has to do is think about it, back, forth, right? But right now, she's here with me. Now, what I'm sensing is, well, she's talking to me about you taking a step up. And I'm feeling like you're going to be a bad girl. You're going to be a bad girl. And I like it. I like it a lot.
Always.
She's saying to me, you're taking a step up. And I just get a sense that you are standing up for a group of people. I feel like you're like for someone's rights. Do you understand that? If you don't, that's fine. I'm giving it to you anyways. But I get a sense of you, like I'm seeing you on a set of stairs. There's only like 3 stairs here. So if the step up is work or health or whatever it is. However, I get a sense that in that step, she's telling me, she's like doing one of these things. She's saying that with that step up, you have the ability and you feel that it's an obligation to make sure things are right. Mm-hmm. Pardon me?
Retired.
Yeah, because I get a sense of, she's telling me that, oh, that's kind of I don't usually use that word. She says you're righteous. So I don't usually use that word because I'm not really sure of the meaning, how she's putting it, but that's what she said. Because she's saying to me, you're doing what is right, and you're making sure that the people who are under you receive that benefit, right? Yes. It's very important, she's saying, for you not to get on your high horse, where, not high horse as in you're better than other people. It's your high horse as in, come on, we need to get this done today. And actually, you're telling that to the people above you. You know how well that's going to go over. But there's no harm in knocking on the door and pushing gently until you get done what needs to be done. It's almost like the rights of the people underneath you are what's going to be so important to you. And she says that she's tipping her hat off. She's tipping her hat off to you because she's saying you're making a difference and you're about to make a bigger difference than what you're doing now. And it's going to be felt like, she's saying, many generations. So whatever, it's not just the generations in your family. It's well, it could you know, fan out to that too, but it's also the generations that are in the workforce. So good for you. Very good.
She's retiring so she can have medical insurance. So she often says, I don't know if I'm ready, but I got to do the right
Oh, yeah.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
She is doing the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that step up. So there's something that you're doing, mind you, even before you retired, there's something that you will be doing that's going to be helping those people that you're leaving behind. All right. So understand that there's a higher purpose here behind this retirement. You know, there's a higher purpose to everything. I truly believe this. So the trick then is to find out how you can leave this place a better place. There you go. You're very welcome. Take care. It was great talking to you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. So let's get back to this. We're running out of time. So the next tip, which is number 5, is to write things down. And the reason why is because you might not understand what's going on now. However, down the road, I can guarantee it, you will. You will. I cannot tell you how many times I've told the story of me trying to tune into the spirit world in my early 20s. And I was pretty darn successful at it. However, what I got, the information I got, freaked me out. And I put meditation and spirit communication down for 15 years. However, knowing what I know now and knowing how to dissect the information that has come through, I could have easily found an answer if I had stuck with it, right? So by writing things down, even if the answer doesn't become readily available to you, it'll surely spark a memory of what happened. And also some of the information that comes through, you might not be anywhere aware, like what the heck are they talking about? So write it down. There's usually a pattern there. There's usually a pattern. For me, I get this vibe like, in the pit of my stomach. Some people call it heebie-jeebies. Some people feel like it's anxiety. It might be spirit talking to you. It just might. Because when I get that feeling in the pit of my stomach, it's always 3 days. Almost to the hour. It's always 3 days that something happens that will cause anxiety or worry or whatever. Now, unfortunately, you don't always know where or whom it's going to pertain to. But with that knowledge, you can kind of forewarn people, hey, be careful driving, or be careful what you're saying, or don't make a purchase on that date, or something like that, right? So listen to it, write it down, and pay attention to it. By writing it down, you'll be able to track the information that comes through. Tip number 6 is never do anything you normally wouldn't do, right? Let's use common sense here. Even in a reading, I never would expect spirit to tell me something or to have me do something that is outside of my comfort zone. All right. Now, granted, our comfort zones can be really broad with some people, or some people have a very narrow comfort zone. Your spirit guides will never have you do something that's outside of your comfort zone that would cause you harm. They might have you stretch out a little bit. They might have you test the water, so to speak, like put your toe in the water, check it out. Don't jump right in yet, just check it out. So they might move you in a little way. But as long as you're willing to go out and do what they ask you to do, which is inside your comfort zone, you're never going to go wrong. They're not going to do what I said earlier and kick you in the butt and force you to move. No, they will give you clues and hints over and over and over, kind of like signposts. Number 7 is the physical sensations are common. And I talked about that earlier, whether it's a hand on your shoulder, tingles going down here, feeling like cobwebs are on your face, anything like that. The trick here is to understand who it is that's leaving those messages. And that's why in the upcoming spiritual guides and guidance course, I will be offering meditations where we meet all of our spirit guides, right? And you will understand who is there when, by where they touch you on your physical body, or what you hear or what you sense around you, right? So it's like their calling card. Okay. All right. So physical sensations are very common, very, very common. Whether it's tingling, prickly, whether I feel hot or cold. Sometimes when Jesus is there, I get this massive hot flash. And it's probably just his energy is a little bit overpowering for me, but that's fine. Not a big deal. I get it. I get it. And the trick then is by taking the class, you'll then understand that what you're getting is actually a message from spirit and not just a hot flash. Okay. So I'm going to do one more quick reading here. All right. Stephanie, I'm promoting you to panelist, honey. Let me unmute you when you come on.
Hi.
Hi, Stephanie. How are you, honey?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good, thanks. Do you have a question today?
Yes. I would love to talk to my mom.
Okay. What's her first name?
It's Mary, but her birth name was Janine.
Janine. Okay, I'm gonna go by Janine. Just because Mary's too common. Okay. And the reason why
I've been really desperate to hear from her. So
okay. Well, I can't guarantee anything. You know, if you've been listening to the whole webinar, then you understand that yes, tuning into that person's name does help, but that doesn't guarantee that she's able to tune into my radio station. Okay. Now, would you understand her having trouble breathing?
Yes.
Yeah. I get a impression like that type of thing. Okay, that's what I'm hearing. All right.
Yes.
So if that makes sense, yes. So I probably do have her here. Would you understand she's telling me that you stepped in for her and spoke for her quite a bit? Do you understand that?
Yes, I took care of her for several years.
Kind of like an advocate would take care of someone. She's saying, yes. And she's saying to me she is, and this is her word, hunky-dory. She's telling me she's now hunky-dory and she wants you to know she's okay. She's telling me also that her passing, the actual passing of it, was just like floating on water. She's doing this. So she's saying that her passing was very easy from a spiritual standpoint, that she just like fell asleep and it was like, and there she is, right? And she's thanking you for that. She's saying to me that you set things up, you align things to make sure that she was okay, she wasn't in pain, and right, she wants you to know that she loves you dearly.
Can you tell I needed this?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. Well, she's just saying that she loves you just so dearly. And she's saying to me that you stepped up when other people could not or would not. And for that, she's very grateful, okay? Now, would you understand also, she's showing me a smaller light-colored house. I feel like it's siding. And I get the sense that there's a back or a deck out back. Do you understand whose house she's talking about?
I moved and now there's a deck.
Okay, yeah, so she's...
I have a deck.
Okay, so she's in the house. She understands your house. She loves the house. So, yeah, so that's by showing me this, she just shows that she's around you often, sweetheart.
So she's in my house?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, because she follows you. She doesn't follow the house, right? Yeah. Yeah, but she loves the house. So God bless you, sweetheart. I'm really glad that we were able to make the connection. So I leave you with that, sweetheart. All right? You take care of yourself.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So the last couple tips on communicating with your spirit guides and spirits are 8, be consistent. Be consistent. And I know, because it's not your profession, that you know, you might meditate for a little while and then you give it up for a month. Go back to it once or twice and then give it up for a month. I get it. I totally get it. Life takes over. However, if you're consistent in, even if you meditate one time a week, spirit are going to show up and be there. Because if you do it on the same day, let's say Wednesdays at noon, I always meditate Wednesdays at noon. Spirit are going to say, okay, she has set an appointment date with us. We better get our butts there so that we can help her to understand. She wants to grow spiritually. He wants to grow spiritually. And that we need to be on task, right? So if you can be consistent in your times, no matter what, it could be 2 o'clock in the morning, be consistent because they will be there. They will be there. I can guarantee it. All right. Next, number 9 is, again, segueing into meditation. Now, when you first learn how to meditate, I recommend meditating more than once a week. Every other day, every day. And it doesn't have to be for long periods of time. Many people are under the miscommunication or misguidance thinking that they have to meditate for an hour at a time. And that's so not the case. It is so not the case. And I always recommend for my beginning meditators that they begin with a guided meditation. So someone talks you through it. You can get guided meditations all over the place. However, I do offer, I have 8 different types on my website. And one of them actually is talking to spirit guides. So you might look that up too. Very, very inexpensive. I think the digital file's only $4.99 or something like that. So yes, I do have them on my spiritual development page of my website. So if you are a regular meditator, you can be sure that you will communicate with spirit more clearly. You're going to understand more. You know, it's just like anything. It's just like anything else. You got to walk before you can run. And it can be as simple as the fact that, you know, like the first time you painted your toenails, you weren't that good either. And it's the same thing with meditating. So what you might experience in meditation is, you know, okay, I'm doing really good. I'm seeing my root chakra go down, blah, blah, blah. And I'm feeling the tingles in my legs. And then all of a sudden, ooh, what's for dinner? Okay, let me get back to it. Oh, I'm seeing this lovely tree that she's telling me to see. And then, ooh, that was the garbage truck, right? Very normal. So what will happen is the more you meditate, the more you train your brain to focus. And eventually, you won't need that meditation CD. Just maybe turn on some nice music or whatever. Voila. But again, I have those CDs on my website, digital downloads or hard copies, either one. And I think the longest is 20 minutes. Yeah, most of them are around 15 to 17, 18 minutes at the most. So everybody can do this. Honestly, it doesn't take that long. And the final tip for communicating with your spirit guides and spirit people is be patient. Be patient with yourself. As I said earlier, everyone is clairsentient. Everyone can feel the world of spirit around them. And that honestly should be your first tool to communicating with spirit. That's your main clair, so to speak. So use that first. Feel your spirit people first. Close your eyes and see them, hear them, taste them, or smell them even. But be patient with yourself and realize not all spirit people or spirit guides are going to come through in the same manner. Some may come through clairsentiently, you'll feel them. Or they're going to come through clairaudiently, you'll hear them. Right? So just realize that other than making sure that you say a prayer of intention for the highest and finest of spirit to come through, there really is no right or wrong way, right? Just set in place some ground rules for yourself so that there's a normalcy. It's almost like habitual it should be, and that's how it should be grown. That's how it should grow. That's how it's almost like a mantra or a mantra to open up your doors to communicating with the world of spirit, right? So upcoming events here for me, kids, this Saturday, and this is, if you're listening to this, God knows when, this is 2017, and I have a spirit gallery, which is a public venue, public gallery of spirit communication, on the 23rd of September in Ann Arbor, Michigan. On the 30th of September 2017, I'm in Clearwater, Florida, doing a public spirit gallery. On the 6th of October, I will be in Macomb Township at 21 Ann Hayes, at the Mind's Eye bookstore. So that's really fun. I'll be in Rochester, Michigan on the 7th of October. I will be, here's a really cool thing. I'm going to be at the Dio Theater, or Dionysus Theater in Pinckney, Michigan on the 13th and 14th of October. This is a public venue. It's a dinner theater in Pinckney, Michigan, as I said, where you will have this lovely dinner. Oh my gosh, it's to die for. And I'll also be doing 2-hour spirit gallery during there, right? So that weekend also, the 14th and 15th, I will be in Kalamazoo doing a public presentation as well as mini readings, a special 20 minutes for $50, which you'll only find those at the public events. That's in Kalamazoo. So check out my website for that. On the 21st of October, I'll be in Plymouth, Michigan, and I'll be in Port Huron for a wonderful event on the 24th of October, just before Valentine's Day, just before Halloween. I'll be at the Doubletree Hilton in Port Huron. So you can find all the information on the public events that I offer on my website. Just go to the public events page. Yeah, so everything's there, all the information, the addresses, prices, and ticket prices for pre-registration will be there. In a public gallery setting, I always do 2 hours, and I probably touch in with 15 to 20 different spirit when I'm there. So it's none of this 3,000 people and talk to 5 people thing. I talk to as many spirit people as possible. So it is quick, but you'll make the connection with those in spirit. Until next week, my little chickadees, may you seek the divine, be the divine, and you're going to reap the divine. God bless.